Sweden stands as the only nation where silence speaks louder than words. Here, the Nordics' most stunning women have revolutionized what feminine freedom means. Men embrace masculinity that the rest of the world is barely beginning to comprehend. And the entire society operates like a perfect symphony where each individual note creates collective harmony. Today, I'm going to unveil why Sweden is regarded as the world's most advanced country for living. But I'll also reveal the hidden price of this perfection. A lifestyle where individual freedom can transform into existential loneliness, where extreme equality sometimes eliminates passion, and where social welfare coexists with profound melancholy that few foreigners manage to understand. Can you imagine existing in a place where women walk alone at any hour without fear, where men take complete year-long paternal leave, where the government pays you to study, and where nature is so integrated into urban life that you can pick wild blueberries on your way to work? Sweden isn't just a country, it's a social experiment where humanity tested what happens when you eliminate almost all traditional problems of civilization. But there's something documentaries about Nordic countries will never tell you. Behind this seemingly perfect society exists an emotional cost, including surprisingly high depression rates, a culture of social distancing that can be brutal for foreigners, and a conformity system that can suffocate creative individuality. From Stockholm's golden archipelagos to Lapland's northern lights, from minimalist offices where nobody works more than 6 hours to infinite forests where every Swede has constitutional right to camp, I'll take you on a journey revealing not only why Sweden fascinates the world, but also the daily realities of living in the country that redefined what it means to be human in the 21st century. Prepare to discover a society where every citizen enjoys freedoms the rest of the world can barely imagine, where natural beauty combines with technological innovation to create incomparable quality of life. But also prepare for the contradictions of living in a country so perfect that sometimes perfection itself becomes the problem. Are you ready to discover what it's really like living in Nordic paradise? Because what follows will forever change your understanding of what true freedom means. But before we continue, tell me in the comments, would you be capable of exchanging Latin emotional intensity for absolute Nordic tranquility? Which aspect of Swedish lifestyle seems most attractive or unsettling to you? Hit like. If you want to discover more countries where social evolution has reached fascinating extremes, and subscribe to explore the planet's most advanced societies. Share this video with someone who needs to understand that a completely different way of living life exists, because this perspective can revolutionize your concept of what's possible for a society. To understand how Sweden became the world's most advanced social laboratory, we must journey through the evolution of a society that transformed from being one of Europe's poorest countries into the civilization model that the rest of the world studies and envies. During the 19th century, Sweden was synonymous with extreme poverty and massive emigration. Over 1 million Swedes emigrated to America, escaping famines and lack of opportunities. But here's what's extraordinary. This collective suffering experience didn't break Swedish spirit, but transformed it into national determination that never again would any Swede have to choose between dignity and survival. The transformation began with the concept of folkhemmet, the people's home. A political vision imagining Sweden as a great family where all citizens would have guaranteed not only basic rights, but quality of life, allowing complete human flourishing. Swedish men developed masculinity based on collective protection rather than individual domination, while Swedish women became global pioneers of feminine independence without sacrificing femininity. Did you know that Swedish mentality of lagom, neither too much nor too little, exactly right, isn't just personal philosophy but national system? Swedes created a culture where perfect balance is considered maximum virtue. Enough prosperity to live well, but not so much that it creates inequality. Enough individualism to be authentic, but not so much that it destroys social communion. Lutheran influence also profoundly shaped Swedish psyche, but unexpectedly. Instead of creating religious rigidity, Swedish Protestantism evolved toward practical spirituality, valuing honest work, social equality, and personal responsibility as forms of divine service. This explains why Swedes can be simultaneously secular and profoundly ethical. The system of allemansrätten, everyone's right, also defines Swedish relationship with nature and property. This constitutional right allows anyone to walk, camp, and gather fruits on private lands, provided they respect the environment. It's not just law, but philosophy teaching that some resources, pure air, natural beauty, tranquility, belong to humanity, not individuals. During both World Wars, Sweden chose active neutrality that wasn't cowardice, but sophisticated strategy to preserve humanistic values, while Europe self-destructed. This experience taught Swedes that maintaining elevated principles is possible even when the world goes mad, but requires extraordinary national discipline. And here's the first secret of Swedish mentality. Social evolution isn't accident, but conscious project. Swedes treated their society's development like engineers treat machine design, identified problems, experimented solutions, measured results, and adjusted until achieving optimal functioning. But what will really fascinate you is how this social engineering manifests in modern daily life. Now let's get to real experience. What's it actually like living in modern Sweden? And here's where social engineering, extreme geography, and cultural evolution create a lifestyle that literally seems like science fiction to the rest of the world. First, Swedish wellness lifestyle. In Sweden, work-life balance concept isn't aspiration, but legislated reality. Average work week is 30-35 hours, minimum vacations are 25 paid days, and fika, coffee and pastry break, is national institution interrupting any important meeting. Swedish men take 480-day paternal leave, compared to 0 days in many countries, actively participate in domestic tasks, and consider childcare as expression of modern masculinity, not sacrifice. Did you know Swedish system of trig, security, goes beyond physical protection? It includes economic security, nobody can lose house due to illness, social security, nobody gets isolated by poverty, and emotional security, preventive mental health system. Swedish women walk alone at any hour because sexual violence has globally low rates, but more importantly, because the entire society is designed to protect vulnerability without creating dependency. Second factor, Swedish innovation culture. Sweden produces more inventions per capita than any other country, from Spotify to IKEA, from Volvo to Skype. But Swedish innovation doesn't seek dramatic disruption, but gradual improvement, benefiting everyone. Swedish professionals work in offices resembling living rooms, make decisions by consensus, process that may seem slow but produces lasting results, and consider failure as educational data, not personal tragedy. Swedish seasonal lifestyle is also unique worldwide. During mörka månader, dark months of winter, when there are only 3 to 4 hours of sunlight, Swedes developed psychological survival strategies, including hygge, cozy comfort, mysig, intimate and warm atmosphere, and communal activities combating seasonal depression. In summer, during ljusa nätter, white nights, the entire society explodes into activity, 24/7 festivals, intensive outdoor life, and celebrations compensating winter seclusion. Third crucial element, Swedish gender equality. Sweden not only has gender parity in politics and work, but completely redefined traditional roles. Swedish men can be emotionally vulnerable without losing social respect. Women can be professionally ambitious without sacrificing motherhood, and both genders share domestic responsibilities in ways eliminating resentment typical of other cultures. And you know what's most impressive about Swedish character? The combination of radical independence with profound social responsibility. Swedes value extreme privacy. It's rude to ask about salary or personal life, but voluntarily contribute tax rates reaching 60% because they understand individual welfare depends on collective welfare. Technology influence is also distinctive. Swedes pioneered cashless society. Many places don't accept physical money. Digital government, you can do all procedures online, and smart homes, automatically adjusting to weather and personal preferences. But here's the most fascinating paradox. This social paradise hides shadows that very few dare to mention. And this is where Swedish life shows its most complex side, because behind all this social perfection exist psychological and cultural costs that very few international studies dare to examine honestly. First, explosive contradiction. Sweden has one of the developed world's highest depression and suicide rates, especially among youth. Swedish melancholy isn't stereotype but statistical reality. Excess individual freedom can create existential vacuum where people have all options but lose sense of purpose. Swedish therapists report many patients suffer existential anxiety. Anxiety from having too many options and too few restrictions providing life structure. Did you know Swedish concept of jantelagen, Jante's law, can be social oppression disguised as modesty? This cultural norm prohibiting individual distinction or boasting about personal achievements maintains equality, but can also suppress ambition, creativity, and excellence. Many talented Swedes emigrate to countries where competition and individual recognition are more accepted. Second revelation, impacting relationships. Swedish culture of social distancing can be brutal for foreigners. Swedes are polite but not warm, helpful but not inviting. Making deep friendships can take years. Dating requires extreme patience. Swedes can date for months before defining the relationship, and true social integration can be nearly impossible for extroverted personalities or cultures, valuing emotional expressiveness. Immigration policy also creates tensions, contradicting the liberal image. Sweden received more refugees per capita than any European country, but integration has been problematic. No-go zones exist in suburbs where police avoid patrolling. Crime rates have increased significantly in areas with high immigrant concentration, and many native Swedes experience white flight toward more homogeneous areas. And you know what's the most brutal contradiction of Swedish system? The welfare state so generous, it eliminates almost all motivation for personal improvement. Some Swedes live indefinitely on unemployment benefits higher than minimum salaries in other countries, creating a dependency culture, contradicting self-reliance values that built the nation. Third, social bomb. The difference between Stockholm, Gothenburg versus small towns is massive. Large cities offer international lifestyle, but 60% of Sweden lives in small towns where alcohol abuse, social isolation, and lack of opportunities can make life depressing, especially during winter's dark months. Social conformity theme is also controversial. Sweden functions so well because everyone follows rules. But this creates social pressure to never question the system. Political dissent is rare, disruptive entrepreneurship is discouraged, and thinking outside consensus can result in social ostracism. Did you know there's a phenomenon of Swedish sadness, where people who externally have everything, great job, beautiful family, wonderful home, report profound emptiness because external perfection doesn't fill existential needs? Therapists call this lagom depression, being perfectly fine but not truly happy. And the most shocking revelation, many Swedes develop emotional survival strategies that include. After this deep journey through Swedish reality, we reach the most important conclusion. Sweden isn't perfect paradise, but advanced living experiment producing both extraordinary benefits and unexpected costs. It's the country that came closest to solving civilization's basic problems, but discovered that solving basic problems reveals advanced problems humanity had never before confronted. The final synthesis about Swedish life is fascinating. It's the only country that successfully converted social engineering into art form, creating a society functioning like precision machinery where each individual can flourish according to their authentic nature while contributing to collective welfare. But this achievement requires psychological and cultural sacrifices few people are prepared to make. What makes Swedish experience unique? It's the only place where you can experience what happens when you remove most external stress sources: poverty, violence, inequality, job insecurity, and discover what internal challenges emerge when survival needs are completely satisfied. It's a laboratory for understanding what humans actually need to be truly content. Swedish experience teaches that freedom isn't absence of restrictions, but presence of opportunities. That equality doesn't mean everyone being identical, but everyone having equal chance to develop their unique potential, and that progress isn't about individual achievement, but collective elevation. Is experiencing Swedish life worthwhile? It depends on your personality and values. If you value security, balance, and collective welfare more than excitement, competition, and individual recognition, Sweden can be paradise. If you need emotional intensity, dramatic experiences, and rapid personal growth through challenge, it may feel like beautiful prison. For men considering Sweden, prepare to completely redefine your concept of masculinity. Swedish men are taught that true strength is emotional intelligence, that leadership is facilitation, not domination, and that success is measured by family happiness, not personal achievement. For women, Sweden offers freedom most of the world can barely imagine. But freedom also means responsibility to create your own meaning and purpose. For families evaluating Sweden, it's arguably the best place in the world to raise children who are confident, independent, and socially responsible. The education system is designed to develop critical thinking rather than test performance. Children have rights many adults in other countries don't enjoy, and social services ensure family crisis never becomes family catastrophe. Swedish life is that unique combination where individual fulfillment and collective responsibility balance perfectly, where nature and technology integrate seamlessly, and where present comfort doesn't compromise future sustainability. It's proof that humans can create societies working for everyone, but also warning that perfection can have its own forms of suffering. Swedes have perfected the art of living consciously, balancing personal needs with social needs, and creating sustainability in every aspect of life. Their culture isn't just a way of living, it's a vision of the future the rest of the world is slowly moving toward. Sweden teaches you that true wealth isn't accumulation but balance, that real security comes from community trust, not individual power, and that happiness isn't emotional high but deep contentment with life having meaning beyond personal gratification. Which destination should we explore next to discover societies experimenting with the future of human civilization? You decide.